Welcome to Upticks. I'm Jake Falcon, the founder of Falcon Wealth Advisors and your host of Upticks. Today is episode 112, Donor Advised Funds. Okay, welcome back to the show. I hope that all of you out there are staying safe and healthy during this horrible pandemic. Just know that this too shall pass. Nobody really knows when or how at this point. Like I said, all we can do is continue to social distance and hope that the vaccine comes along here and things get better. For today's topic, I think I've done this before on a show of Upticks, but I wanted to revisit it because I can't, frankly, talk about it enough. And with tax tax season is going to be in April of 2021. But as we approach the fourth quarter of 2020, I want to talk about an opportunity for individuals to potentially lower their taxes while also being able to give more to their charity of choice. And it's by using an account called a donor advised fund. And we do a lot of them at Falcon Wealth Advisors. And what a donor advised fund is, it's a charitable account, and it's actually been around, believe it or not, since around the 1930s. And according to a study done in 2015, there was approximately $80 billion in donor advised funds, which is crazy. It's a lot of money. So a lot of people are using them. And again, they're sponsored by a charity. And basically what it is, it's an account that you establish, and you can put assets into the account. And potentially, again, everything needs to be checked by your tax advisor. Potentially, you can take a deduction on those assets that you, again, contribute to this donor advised fund. But then you can delay or give out the funds in subsequent years. So you don't have to give all that money in that respective year. And you also can keep the money invested, allowing it to grow. And that was my comment on being able to give more to your charity or charities of choice. Okay, so who is this for, right? So a lot of people ask me, well, do I need one of those, or why do I need one, or what's it for? So first, you want to make sure that you're charitably inclined, because when you put money into a donor advised fund, you typically can't get it back out. I mean, I'm sure you probably could, but there's probably some pretty hefty tax penalties or things associated with that, and really a road you don't want to go down. So if you have no intention, and again, nobody's here to judge, if you have no intention to give to a charity or multiple charities down the road, then a donor advised fund doesn't make sense. Shut down this podcast and we'll see you next week. But if you are giving to a charity, your church, there's tons of them in Kansas City, your alma mater, whatever it is, right? There's a lot of them. Basically, a charity is defined as what's called a 501c3, which means that's the way that they file as an organization with the IRS. So you can't give it to your kids if you think they're a charity, right? Because you're giving them money still. So it needs to be a technically, established charity that has a 501c3. It's very easy to look up or to ask. But if you have intentions to give to these types of organizations, then a donor advised fund may be suitable for you. Okay, but that's not the only reason to have one. Another reason to have one is if you are failing to get over the standard tax deduction. For a married couple, it's something around over $24,000, and for an individual, it's about half of that. So meaning you have to have more deductions in any given year to be able to take it off your taxes or itemize it. So what a donor advised fund, though, can be useful for is, let's say you don't have any deductions, right? Say, Jake, I'm retired. I don't have anything to offset. So I just get the standard, me and my spouse get 24/4 or whatever it is. Well, believe it or not, you could theoretically or actually put, let's say $30,000, or what I would prefer is stock, but we'll go into that here in a moment, in a donor advised fund. And you would get to potentially take off that difference from your standard deduction and whatever you went above it. So in this case, $5,000 plus, because it's like 24/4. Again, All this needs to be confirmed with your tax advisor. I'm just really talking broadly speaking on a conceptual basis. But in this example, you would then be over the standard tax deduction, so you would be able to potentially write off some of your charitable donations. And the beauty is you don't have to give all of that $30,000 away in that tax year. So you say, Jake, I give, $5,000 a year to my church, or whatever it is. It's like, okay, well, if you put 30,000 in there, you'll get to write off some of it, which right now you're not getting to write off any of it if you're not over the standard deduction. We can keep the money invested in stocks and bonds or however you prefer. You can give the $5,000, you give $100 a week to your church, however you want to do it, over many years. So maybe you just do this once and you don't have to do it again for another 6, 7, 8 years, right? But you were able to realize a deduction. So that's for the retiree. Now, it's really beneficial if you're working still and you're in a higher bracket. So let's say you and your spouse are making good income and you have high taxes and you say, Jake, I'm already maxing out my 401k. I'm already maxing out my health savings account. What else can I do? This is what you can do. You can fund a donor advised fund with pre-tax and deduct it. It's after-tax dollars that you would deduct and help lower your taxes and keep the money invested. And then again, dish it out to charities over time. Now, to take it another step here, I also recommend to our clients that are utilizing donor advised funds to not give cash to their donor advised fund. But what I really like to see is appreciated stock. So if you have stock, whether through it's in your employer or just that you've owned or inherited or whatever it is, and you have a gain, an unrealized gain. So that means you bought the stock at X and now it's worth X plus 2 or X plus 100 or whatever. So if you have a gain on that stock, well, if you put that stock that is appreciated in your donor advised fund and we sell it, you don't pay any capital gains taxes. So not only do you potentially get to take some off of your taxes when you file, you also avoid capital gains taxes. So it's double tax favorable for people that are using it. So that's a perfect scenario. So I love it for people that are working. They're in a high bracket. They're already doing things with their 401k. Maybe they have a health savings account. Maybe they're doing some other things. They have some stock that's appreciated. Let's take some of those shares. Let's put it in a donor advised fund. Let's sell it. Let's diversify. No capital gains and potentially writing some of it off your taxes. And then you can give it out to your charity as you see fit, or charities. It doesn't have to go to one, right? You could give it to 100 different charities, right? You make grants. So I want to give 100 here. I want to give 500 here. I want to give 1,000 there, however you want to do it. Right, but these are very important tools. And so as you're looking at the fourth quarter here and, shame on your tax advisor if they haven't reached out to you and want to do some proactive tax planning. If you're not getting that done, call me, email me. Again, we're not tax advisors at Falcon Wealth Advisors, but we'll take a look at your situation and we will engage with your tax advisor if need be on getting some tax advice. But we certainly can do some broad tax planning and say, hey, based on what you've told me, what it looks like, this may be beneficial for you, and this is why we think so. And we can get we can get your CPA to sign off on it. But these are great tools, are great vehicles. Again, not only do you potentially get to write some off, you get to avoid capital gains, and then you can keep the money invested. And by the way, if you use, which again, this is the whole intention, if you use your donor advised fund and give it out to a qualified charity, that growth that you get from the investments also is tax-free. So again, you're not paying any taxes on that growth. So there's no reason, again, if you have a tax issue that you want to try to solve for and you're giving to charities, I highly encourage you to reach out to us at Falcon Wealth Advisors and we can talk about setting up a donor advised fund. They're great tools, a great strategy to use for individuals that are already giving, or maybe you haven't given to charity in the past and that's something that you want to start doing. Well, this is a great opportunity to do some charitable planning and let Falcon Wealth Advisors help carve that out and make that part of your financial plan. Great, I can't talk about them enough. Another quick point I do want to make are for individuals that have a concentrated stock position. And this typically means if you have more than 20%, let's say, of your portfolio in any one stock, and you want to find a way to diversify, maybe the stock is rallying and it's time, then you don't want to sell it for capital gains, but you're already giving to charity. Well, this is a perfect vehicle to get some diversification, not pay capital gains taxes, and continue to give to your charity of choice. Another reason people use these is that sometimes it's hard. It's hard to give your church stock, right? Well, I want to give you 3 shares of ABC stock. Well, they're not always set up to be able to receive that. And so that's what a donor advised allows you to do. You give the stock to the donor advised fund, we sell it, we diversify it, or we keep it invested, however you want to do it. And then we can give out grants in the form of checks to your charity. Right? So don't ignore it. Call me, email me, text me, whatever you want to do. Again, donor advised funds are something that we do a ton of work with at Falcon Wealth Advisors, and it may be something that's suitable for you and your family. Certainly, if you are interested, you can email me at jake@falconwealthadvisors.com. If you're, I'm out there on all the social media platforms, so I'm on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. If you want to message me out there, feel free to do so, certainly. Okay, so as part of my fun topic today, I want to flash up a picture from some Taylor junipers I got planted. I know I've been talking about my landscaping. So I've got a picture here of some Taylor junipers that were recently planted in my backyard. This is pre-planting, and they're awesome. They look, if you're listening to this on podcast, what they look like are just picture Tuscany and the tall, thin evergreens that grow. I think the Italian cypress trees can grow up to 30 feet. I think these can potentially grow up to 20 feet. I think I bought them around 6 feet tall. So I expect them to double or triple in size. And they're just really cool. And my wife likes them. I think they're classy. And we actually honeymooned in Tuscany. And so I think it brings a little bit back of our honeymoon to our backyard. So that's why I got them. We picked up, I think we got 7 of them. So we're kind of doing it as a privacy deal from our patio. I have a great landscaper. So if you do, and a tree guy. So if you're interested, I certainly can hook you up and connect you with someone that did mine. He did an awesome job. Both of them did. And we're really excited to see those grow. So again, that's part of our COVID deals. We've been doing more projects at home. Started with our landscaping. We got a lot of drainage issue fixed. We got a lot of trees taken out. And then now we've planted some Taylor junipers, which I think are native to Nebraska. So the reason we couldn't get the Italian cypress trees is that I think Kansas City gets a little too cold. So they have some variety. I did a little bit of research on this. It's pretty interesting. So they look like Taylor juniper, or they look like Italian cypress trees, even though they're Taylor junipers. And what I love about them is they're little to no maintenance, which 2 thumbs up for that. Busy with work and playing golf, tree trimming is not one of my specialties. So I love a low maintenance tree. Okay, so that's all the time that I do have for you today. I want to thank you, as always, for tuning in. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast platform, I want to thank you. A 5-star rating would be greatly appreciated. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. A thumbs up would also be greatly appreciated. And please, please make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss another episode of Upticks. Thank you again for tuning in, and we hope all of you have a great week.